My name's KenGordon. I was in the Colorado General Assembly for 16 years. I first ran in 1992, and when I ran in 1992, I ran because I was concerned about protecting Colorado's environment. And it was clear to me that a legislature that was funded by resource extractors like mining, oil and gas, and real estate development was not going to do a decent job protecting Colorado's environment. So when I ran in 1992, I was the only person in the state in either party who got elected who didn't accept contributions from political action committees. I always thought it was wrong to finance campaigns from people who were trying to buy influence from you, because when you got to the legislature, you were supposed to represent the people that lived in your district, not your contributors. We have this basic conflict of interest built into the way we finance campaigns here in the United States. Our founding principles were political equality. We always knew that some people were going to have more money than others. Some people were going to live in better houses than others, take better vacations, buy better cars. But we thought that our political voice was supposed to have some rough equality to it. There was supposed to be a barrier. One person might be richer than another, but everybody should have equality in their political voice. It's in our Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Excuse me, that's what it says. It's in the Gettysburg Address. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. It's in the Constitution. The 14th Amendment says that no person shall be denied equal protection of the laws. This political equality is supposed to be baked into our political fabric in the United States. But then we had a couple Supreme Court decisions. It's not just Citizens United. The first one was Buckley versus Vallejo, that said that money is the equivalent of speech, and therefore the legislature, Congress, can't regulate how much money is spent in a campaign. That was in 1976. Then a year ago, the Supreme Court made an egregious decision where they said that corporations have human rights, and that you can't limit how much money a corporation spends in a political campaign. I was giving an example. Imagine that there's an issue where whether or not we can do offshore drilling for oil and natural gas. And Exxon is in favor of doing drilling for oil and gas offshore. And the senators from Florida or North Carolina don't want it because they don't want oil on the beaches. The people don't want it. Exxon could spend $100 million on each candidate against them because they aren't going to vote for offshore drilling. $100 million is 5 times what is spent in a United States Senate race. But Exxon made $45 billion, $45 billion with a B, in 2009. It would be nothing for them to spend $100 million against a candidate who wasn't supporting their ability to drill offshore. And so, but they aren't going to have to spend that $100 million against a candidate, because all the candidates know that they can. And if they want to stay in Congress, they're not going to vote against Exxon. That's what we got from Citizens United. So because of Citizens United and because of Buckley versus Vallejo, because money is speech, because corporations are people, there's no longer a barrier between economic inequality and political inequality. We now have political inequality in the United States because we have economic inequality. Right now, the economic inequality is the worst than it's been in 80 years. Because of Buckley versus Vallejo, that lets corporations make unlimited expenditures, we have the worst situation we've ever had in the United States. People have the least power that they've ever had. Money has the most power. And the only way to change it, there's only one group in the United States that can change it, and that's you. That's you. Because the money has become extremely important in campaigns in the last 50 years, since television has become the main way that people campaign. But money does not actually vote. People vote. So if people don't pay attention to what they see on television, if they make their own decisions about who is elected, when they see a television ad, they don't say, oh, that's nice, there's candidate Smith with his family with the mountains in the background, I think I'll vote for him. That's a nice picture. If they say, where did candidate Smith get the money for that television ad? I don't like where he got the money for that television ad. I'm going to vote for the guy who's not on television. I'm going to make up my own decision. I'm not just going to be persuaded by the television. If that's to happen, then we can change this. You know how they say only you, Smokey the Bear says, only you can prevent forest fires? Well, only you can have a democracy in this country. Most Americans are sleepwalking through this. They don't know who Citizens United, they don't know what Citizens United is. They don't know who their state legislators are. They don't know who their congressional people are. It's our job. We're the vanguard. You people here today who pay attention, who know what Citizens United is, know this is the one-year anniversary of Citizens United. You people are the vanguard for electing candidates who don't take money from political action committees. I think that's the key. Citizens United basically said that it's okay to rob banks, but we can elect candidates who pledge not to rob banks. See what I'm saying? Citizens United said there's no rules. You can do immoral things, but we can elect candidates who follow rules, who do moral things, who say, I'm going to represent the people. I'm not going to represent big corporate money. But we have to know who they are, get that word out. Actually, one of the things I'm thinking about doing is starting an organization to support candidates who agree to three things: who agree to not accept campaign contributions from special interests, to agree to run honest and respectful campaigns, and agree to denounce third parties who do dishonest and disrespectful activities on behalf of the candidate. So I'm glad you're all here. This is the beginning. You know, so I was talking to one of the people here earlier, and he said this is like the beginning of the anti-war movement against Vietnam. At first there were 20 or 30 people, then there were 20 or 30,000 people. I'm here with two friends of mine who I went to University of Michigan with in the 1960s. We went to Washington with 1 million people on November 15th, 1969 to help end the war in Vietnam. So that's what I say, our generation ended the war in Vietnam. We also invented sex and had the best music. So anyway, I'm honored to be here today. This hat, by the way, with the P, it's for the Pixie Project. Bob and Ann Sachs are my friends from college. Their daughter has a nonprofit that rescues animals that would otherwise be euthanized. So that's why I'm wearing the hat today. So I'm proud to be here. I'm proud of all of you for being here. This is one of those fights that you fight every day. You fight all the time. You never completely win and you never completely lose, but the world's better because you engaged in the fight. So thanks for being here, and I'll stick around. Okay.